Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Joseph Ward, and welcome to my On the Shoulders of Giants YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you share this channel and that notification button. Click that notification button so every time I drop a new video, you will know what's going on. African history at your fingertips through this channel. You're getting biographies of your sung and unsung heroes right at your fingertips. So tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about On the Shoulders of Giants, where you can learn about yourself and we tell our own stories. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing on this good cold Tuesday? In this video, I want to talk about our individual and collective self-esteem as black people here in America. And I want to talk about this because, in my opinion, this is a subject that hasn't really been touched on enough now, especially in these days. We talk about it with our women, but we don't talk about it enough with our men, if we even talk about it at all. But your individual and your collective self-esteem really matters, especially when you exist in an environment where white supremacy is basically the foundation of it. Now, also understanding that because of white supremacy is one of the main factors that has affected and destroyed a lot of our self-esteem. But it's time for us to reclaim that. And see, that's why I'm making this video, not to, to jump down nobody's throat, but to talk about us reclaiming our self-esteem, our self-love, our sense of self-worth, our sense of self, period, who we are, where we are in this world, in this country, in this time and space, where we are as black people in America. And I believe once we start to love ourselves better as individuals, as who we truly are, that will also help us love ourselves as a collective, because we need to be able to operate as a collective, whether it's critical mass or more. But at least in that critical mass, our level of self-esteem has to be up to par. And if it's not, we're putting ourselves at a disadvantage, especially when we're talking about creating our own. Because what we create ourselves will only mimic that which we supposedly got away from. But you didn't really get away from it if you're mimicking it. And so our collective self-esteem, with raising our collective self-esteem, what we build for ourselves will reflect us as we truly are. And it will be designed to help us flourish in the future, right? So us really being able to love ourselves as black people, who we are, no matter how dark your skin is, and you heard me say this before, no matter how dark your skin is, no matter how light your skin is, no matter your body type, no matter if you're skinny, no matter if you're a bigger person, no matter what, being able to love yourself, love your phenotypes, love everything about yourself and who you are as an African person, that's one of our greatest missions right here, to be able to love ourselves, right? That individual love as well as that collective love. And yes, the individual love is important, but the collective love is also important due to the circumstances and conditions that we're in. We didn't create these, we were born into these, but that doesn't mean we can't change our position in this system of white supremacy. That don't mean we can't remove ourselves from the system of white supremacy as well. And having that individual as well as collective self-esteem helps us be in a better position to remove ourselves from the throes of white supremacy, because hell, you actually want to get away from it. When your self-esteem isn't at a good level, you are going to be looking outside of yourself and outside of your culture for validation. And when you're looking outside of yourself and outside of your culture and outside of your people for validation, you then begin to lock yourself in to that what is oppressing you. That was what you feel is holding you back, right? Because to you, that's a symbol of power. That's a picture of power, and you yourself want power, and that's the only symbol of power that you recognize. So you would try to mimic that symbol of power that you recognize instead of understanding the power that lies within you, the power that lies within your collective group, in your past, your present, and your future. Because we as African people, we're very, very, very special, resilient people, creative people. We need to really study ourselves. I'm stressing it. Study ourselves. An author named Robin Walker has a great book called When We Ruled. When We Ruled. Get that book. Read that book. It's a good book. It's like 90,000 years of information about African history, African kingdoms, when African people literally ruled, right? So being able to go out and do your own research and learn more about yourself and really, really, really love yourself, because we live in a negative society, right? We live in a society where negativity is really the norm. People try to act like negativity ain't the norm, but negativity is the norm of the society that we live in. And then when you are oppressed, depressed, suppressed, and all the other things, negativity will also be the norm within your circle, within your realm as well. Negativity would be the norm. And then everything that you see, learn, read, hear, whatever about yourself is negative, right? And so that's intentional. That's done intentional. You only see negative, or you mostly see negative. You either only or mostly see negative images of yourself. That's intentional. That's intentional, right? Are we controlling the vehicles that are putting these images out? No, we don't control them, right? Propaganda. Study propaganda. Study how propaganda. I've said this. I made a video about it. Made a video about propaganda. Study propaganda and understand how it is used against you and your people historically, especially in this country, even around the world. See how propaganda is used. First, they dehumanize you, demoralize you, and then they take you out. And if you buy into it, you further help them take you out, right? So we got to love ourselves. We really, 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 really got to spend time loving ourselves, getting around people who have learned to love themselves will greatly help you learn to love yourself. Search for different things that you can do to help you raise your self-esteem. One thing I always tell people, get in that mirror in the morning and find something every day different that you love about yourself that's not superficial. Find things physically that you like about yourself and things that are the intangibles that people can't take away from you. We all have greatness within us. We've all achieved things that we at one point didn't believe or didn't even think or know that we can achieve. We've done things. We've been able to accomplish a lot as individuals and as a collective unit in this country under this system. Under this system of white supremacy, we have been able to do some miraculous things, but we still have a very, 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 very long way to go, because building that collective self-esteem helps us build up our own communities. If you walk outside in your communities and you don't like what you see, and I've said this before, if you don't like what you see, right? I know in the neighborhoods that I exist in, I live in, I dwell in, I do my best to try to keep our area clean, but I also understand that the reason our areas look the way they look is because of that lack of that collective and individual self-esteem. If I don't care about myself, why would I care about the environment that I exist in? Think about it. Say it one more time. If I don't care about myself, why would I care about the environment that I exist in? I have to first learn to love myself. Once I learn to love myself better, I would not want to be in an environment that's undesirable. And I would do what I need to do to change my environment get out of my environment or get out of my environment. But the key is to improve our environment. It's like I see a lot of stories of these intelligent black kids, these young black geniuses who get accepted to these Ivy League schools. And I'm glad that we have these geniuses, but I wish that we would cultivate this talent within our communities. Keep it within our community. There's nothing wrong with sending somebody out to gather information, but they need to be able to bring it back to the community. Because to me, and I keep preaching this, those of us who have had the privilege of being able to see different things and do different things, learn different things, improve ourselves, bring it back to our communities to help improve the conditions of our people, which will help improve the conditions of our community, and which will help raise our individual and collective self-esteem. Self-love is very, 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 very important. They taught us to hate ourselves. They taught us that everything black was bad, everything black was evil, everything black was undesirable. They've taught us that, and they continue to teach us that. They show us the worst of ourselves because that's programming. It's all programming that keeps showing us these negative images because they want us to remain this way. I have a theory that America created niggas for a reason. In my opinion, America, or white supremacists created niggas because they knew niggas was going to aid in keeping black folk off the rail, right? And what I mean by that is people who have brought into the notions of what white supremacy is. They think that that's right, that's what it's supposed to be. Or even people who may not even understand what's going on but have brought into the negativity, who really have brought into the idea of not knowing who you are, not wanting to know who you are, not really having a desire to understand anything, and just going along with the flow, and will be reckless to themselves and others. And niggas come in all shape, forms, sizes, fashions, education levels, income levels, all those things. And when I say that, I ain't just talking about no people in the hood. It's some of our greatest people are in the hood. Some of our worst people are in these universities, in these so-called institutions of higher learning, and all these other places that are marveled by white people and bougie black people and everybody else, right? But I'm talking about getting down to the crux of it, right? The everyday struggle, the everyday thing for the everyday black person, for every black person, to learn to love ourselves and stop looking outside of ourselves and our community for validation. We got everybody, we have everything we need within ourselves. Everybody wants to be us. Everybody wants to be us. They love everything we create. They hate us as people, as a group of people, as individuals, as beings existing. They hate us, but they love what we create because we're great. They work overtime to try to keep us down because we are great. It's time for us to build more, to build up, to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, literally, not just talking about it, but really building up the block, buying up the block, whatever we need to do to make our communities better. But we have to think about it not just on that monetary level, because get your money right. No matter what nobody tell you, get your money right. We need to buy our blocks. Economic empowerment is very, very, very important. But to even get to the point to where you want to empower yourself, you got to love yourself. You got to first love yourself to want to empower yourself. Because I think a lot of times people are going out, those of us who've collected the information are going out and you're talking to people, but you haven't really helped the people love themselves. So you're trying to shove this information down their throats, but you haven't really sat down with the people as individuals and tried to understand who they are, where they come from. One thing I have learned is when I'm going out and I'm trying to help people, my first thing to do is learn who they are, meet them where they are, understand where they are, Understand what their wants and needs are. I'm not just going to go in and try to shove some information down your throat because I read a book. I need to learn who you are, because if we don't love ourselves, we can't empower ourselves. And that's just real. And so we need to be real about what's going on, right? Because to me, those are good courses of action to take to really, really, really build ourselves up and really get to where we need to be, right? Loving ourselves, really. What are different things that we can do for ourselves as individuals and ourselves as a collective to help us love ourselves better, to actually really love ourselves, period, right? Reading more about yourself. That's one thing you can do. Learn, like I say, learn more about yourself. Indulging in activities that you love, right? Setting a goal, accomplishing that goal, and celebrating that goal, right? Doing different things every day to help you feel better about yourself. So one day write a nice poem about yourself. Just different, just throwing out different little things and tips that people can do. Google it. Like, go Google tips and different things that you can do to help you learn to love yourself. Join local support groups. If you need counseling, get counseling. Do what you need to do. This is serious. This ain't no joke. This is serious, people. We really have to build up our individual, not collective self-esteem. And I'm saying this because I had to learn how to love myself. I thought I'd love myself growing up, but turns out I really didn't. I just didn't know. I just didn't know. So now that I know better, I still struggle at times with certain things, but especially it's self-doubt is the base, is one of the main things. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you do a lot, how you have self-doubt. When you had to learn how to think positive, when you had to learn how to accept yourself and love yourself, it's still an ongoing process. And I'm still going through that. I'm still going through that process. But I think that's something that we can go through together, though. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that we have to be in private about. That's not something that we have to be ashamed about. Like, we learn how to love ourselves as a collective. We learn how to get better at love, period, at care, like self-care, like really loving who you are and caring for yourself the way you're supposed to do. I signed up for the gym 3 months ago and they ain't hit the gym yet. I'm tripping. I know I'm tripping. So I got to kick myself in the butt to go ahead and get up and get out. Not saying that I can't do it. I just haven't. But I understand that it's going to help me physically, mentally, and emotionally, psychologically. I understand it's going to help me with that. So that's why it's something that I need to do, because self-doubt is something, and I second guess myself a lot. I hesitate a lot, and I hate that I do that. So these are things that I recognize within myself that I'm working toward to get better, to make better, so I won't continue to do the same things over and over and over and over. Because I know moving forward, like rolling into this next year, I just plan on getting better and better. And I want us to get better and better as well. But we got to really love ourselves at the most basic levels so that we can be great at the greatest level. If that makes sense. It makes sense to me. Hey man, I love you all. But most of all, make sure you love yourself first. I holla.